Close to home on Global News Morning is brought to you by White Point Beach Resort. It's a great day at White Point.
Welcome back. Well, by now we all know that goal setting is a big part of beginning a new year. So much so that statistics from a Harvard business study show that 14% of people who have goals are 10 times more likely to be successful than those without. The key here is writing them down and sticking to your intentions. Andrea Laurie joins us once again this year to show us the importance of setting meaningful goals, maintaining motivation, and of course, achieving those goals. So good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you.
So I know that it is January 2nd. Lots of people probably already laid out some of their goals or maybe kind of looking towards the new year as a new chapter, as a lot of people do. Where should people start before they even kind of get ahead of themselves with setting too many goals or unattainable ones?
Well, it's so important to take the time to sit down and really check in with yourself and get clarity on what it is that you really want to achieve and what you want to have happen in the new year. Setting those goals and resolutions is actually, it's less about willpower, and it's actually more about designing smart goals based on questions that you ask yourself.
I know something too that we talked about that can be motivating as well when setting goals for the new year is kind of looking back at what you have already accomplished in the year prior. So it kind of gives you that confidence to continue pursuing maybe those same goals or something else in 2018.
So that's something that I've been doing the last few years as well personally, and I recommend that to my clients too, is at the end of the previous year, just writing down everything that you've done and you've accomplished in 2017. And when you take a look at it all there together, it usually does surprise you, and it is more than what you would think that you would have done in the year. So exactly, it does give that confidence and that motivation and that knowing of look what I've done, and realizing that the new year is a new chapter to continue on and to set new goals. And one thing that I find is effective in setting goals is to kind of look long term and then break it down. So you can think, where would I like to be in 10 years? Where would I like to be in 5 years? And then where would I like to be 1 year from today? And then from that 1 year goal, you can break it back into chunks. So, actually thinking about quarterly goals and 6-month goals, and then what would you need to have done, and then even break it down into like weekly action steps. But that's where some strategy comes into play depending what your goal is.
And you also talked about some tips too, is maybe having a partner or somebody alongside of you help you attain those goals. That seems to be a big one as well, or a big motivator.
Yeah, absolutely. So having a partner, whether it's your family or people that you live with, or a close friend that you spend time with, for accountability is huge, but also just to support you along the way so you don't meet as much resistance, whether it's spending more time away from home because you're going to be going to work out in the evenings, or you're going to be in your home office or at a coffee shop building a website to get your business or project off the ground. So if you include people in the process and get them on board to supporting you, it's easier to go through and complete the actions that you need to take because people are understanding and supportive.
I know too that a lot of times we focus on typical resolutions like losing weight or healthier eating or kind of making lifestyle adjustments. What's a better way, I guess, to approach a goal like that so that it is successful, and maybe changing your mind frame rather than just trying to change your eating habits?
Well, one of the tips that I use personally and I recommend with my clients is you need to have a way to check in frequently with your desired goal. And it's not just, I have to do X, Y, and Z to get to this place, but you really want to feel the feeling of what it feels like to have already achieved that goal. So I recommend either writing down your goals in a list form, or some people like visuals like a vision board, or you can do an online vision board like Pinterest or something, but just checking in with that feeling and that end result. So say your goal was, to eat healthier and lose 20 pounds was the end result. So rather than focusing on what you're giving up to get there, focus on how good it feels to be at that end result, right? And that's so much more motivating. And then having that list that you check back in and just read it over every night and just get yourself in the mindset where you're seeing it in your mind's eye and you're connecting with that feeling. It's so much more motivating to be focused on where you're going rather than what you're giving up to get there.
I think that kind of was going to lead into my next question as to where you see people typically go wrong or where it is that they seem to, I guess, catch up and fail when it comes to these resolutions. And I think you answered it just by saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all in how you perceive it. And I think, it makes it so much easier to do the actions that you need to do and to stay motivated when you're future oriented. It's also motivating, it's inspiring. And, it just makes it so much easier because that's where your focus is. And it just makes it easier, right? Because you're thinking, okay, well, I am the person that goes to the gym because I feel this way, because you're checking in with that list that you wrote down or that vision that you have for yourself, and you're absorbing that into your self-concept of your reality.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And before we kind of wrap things up here, what would you say your top tip is? To write it down?
Write it down, but actually it would be to check in. So that consistency, that repetition, and just focusing on visualizing. Visualizing is key.
What it is you want, keeping your eye on the prize.
Exactly, absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks again. And if you're looking for information on Andrea Lauria, of course, you can head online. All the information you need there on her website, Twitter, Facebook.